Today's lesson, the lesson I'm going to show you right now is a second grade lesson, and it is called Abstract Portraits. And the students are going to make an abstract self-portrait of themselves. So in order to start, you need this printed onto cardstock. So this is a template, and this is actually going to be the back, and it gives the instructions, but they're going to start with this, and they're going to turn it over and work on this side. So they're going to paint a self-portrait on this side. So I thought abstract is a great chance for them to get to use paint. They love to use paint and just be able to just go for it. But sometimes it can be tricky if the projects need a little bit more detail. But with abstract, you kind of have an opportunity for things to not look perfect. So they are just going to do a self-portrait on this paper, and they'll have discussed that a self-portrait is usually from the shoulders up, and then they'll have talked about what abstract means. So abstract can be kind of almost looking like a real thing all the way to not at all. So, and they'll have an opportunity to decide how abstract they want their portrait to look after they've painted. So they're just first going to paint. So they need some paint, tempera paint. You can give them any variety of colors that you want. I have quite a few colors here. You might not want to give them that many options just for time's sake, but it's up to you and what supplies you have. And then I did not have any skin tone paint, so I just mixed some myself with just brown and white and a little bit of yellow. If you do have the multicultural paints, this is a good time to use them. And then they just are going to need a water dish. I like to use this, it's like a dog dish because you can put a sponge in one side. So they rinse their brush here and dry it here. So it kind of makes, and they don't tip over easily. So that's what I like to use. So they can just get started. One thing that you can do if you want to make it go a little bit more smoothly is you can have them, before you do your lesson, you can have them use the skin tone to draw the face, or the head, I guess I should say, and the head and the neck, and then they let that dry while you teach the lesson portion. They're gonna get a better product if the flesh tone paint has dried, because then they can start layering the face details onto it. It does dry fairly quickly if you don't want to do it that way. If they were to draw the head shape and then draw some background things, the head shape would be dry very quick. But it is sometimes a nice way to be able to get the project done in one lesson. So let them finish their portrait, and I would encourage them to fill up the whole page. So really make sure the background is filled in and add as many details as they want to. And then you're gonna need to let these dry. So like I said, they do dry fairly quickly, but you may need to come back to finish the second part of this project. The second part is very quick. It's something maybe if you didn't have time to go and do it again that the teacher could help them finish, but the second part is really, really quick. So just let these dry, and then we'll do the next part. Now my portrait has dried, and so now what the students are going to do is they're actually going to turn it over, and they're going to use these lines as their guides, and they're going to cut their portrait apart. Now you can have them do this, or if you want, you could put them in use the paper cutter in the office and just do it really quickly. But they can do it. It's not that it's too hard. So just have them cut their portrait into pieces. And it's gonna cut it into 8 even pieces. So once their pieces are cut apart, they can turn them over, and they're gonna just put the puzzle back together. And this is where they can decide how abstract they want their painting to end up being. So they could leave parts of it the same and maybe just turn over 1 or 2 pieces, they can really mess the whole thing up and make it look really abstract. So it's up to them. So this is where they can choose to take it however they want. So they can play around with the pieces, and then once they feel like they like how it's looking, then they're gonna glue down the pieces. And the reason that the pieces are the same size is intentional, so that they can turn them right side up, upside down, and they can play with them however they want. So once the students have decided how they like their pieces arranged, they can start gluing them down. You can use glue stick. I would recommend using school glue or the glue cups and the brushes, just because it's hard to get this, the paper that's been painted on to stick well. And I'm just gonna put it onto a 12 by 18 sheet of construction paper. So I've got them all glued on. Just a quick tip, one of the easiest ways to get these to stick is to actually flip it over and rub from the back. It's just easier to get them pushed really firmly on. And they're on a lot flatter. So once they've put them on, they're gonna have a hard time making sure that it's centered and straight on this back piece of paper, and it's just hard with it putting the pieces together. So you can just leave it, or if you want, after they're finished and the glue's dried, you can take them into the workroom and you can trim them so they have a nice even border. If you want, it's totally not necessary. And this one's just fun because they can make it as abstract as they want to make it. So they have fun kind of putting the puzzle pieces together and deciding how they want to do it.